the center there, educational center there. This is where many European scholars came to learn, and Arabic was the language of communication. They went to Granada. And when they went to Granada, that's where they got their education. So the Renaissance actually sparked from there because the Arabs are the ones who took the Roman and the Greek philosophy, translated it, and kept it alive. So that's where the Western Renaissance actually established itself. And then a few hundred years later, of course, that's when the Christians, what do you call it?
Crusaders.
The Crusaders. But also the time when they put the Jews and the Muslims out from
Inquisition.
Inquisition.
Yeah.
So that's what happened in that. So it was after the Inquisition, then the Muslims were on guard then. And that's how it sort of started, and it was just a reaction to that several hundred years later. Yes?
When a slightly different thing, but when we were on a tour with an Islamic scholar, and he said that this business of women being totally covered was, again, something that came up later, that the only thing in the Quran was that there is a statement that women should hide their beauty so as not to tempt men. But there's no other thing that says how it should be done or anything else. That's an interpretation, as he called it, folk Islam.
Yes.
Is that
well,
true?
that's very true, and I will elaborate on that just a moment. The Quran said that for women to cover their beauty, but naturally they said to cover themselves. When I talked about bigat, the forced prostitution, women wore jewelry to stamp their feet to get people's attention. Look at me. Chinga chinga ching. This is the thing. So I'm selling, I need a buyer, look at me. So it was to stop this type of behavior. But it was not to veil, it was to cover their bosom. And at that time, the women wore very sheer clothing. They were prostitutes. And so it was something to cover your area. And men are also required to cover themselves, too. So it wasn't just for women, but men are also to do the same thing. Because they wanted people to have a certain sense of dignity about themselves. And so this is where it came from. But it got moved into a higher level because some people wanted to interpret the Quran, this covering, to mean everything. And then it got to the Wahhabism where literally the only thing you see is our glasses, eyes and glasses, and that's it. So that's an extreme understanding of what it is. But most women I meet, and I say educated women around the world in Muslim states, cover, they wear their hijab, and the hijab is not supposed to necessarily cover all the hair, but some have taken it to that point. But I think women, lawyers, doctors, things of nature, they wear nice business suits, very proper, and some of their stuff is from the main streets of Paris and things of that nature too. So it's not like they don't have style and dignity and things of this nature, but this covering with the abaya and everything is really Saudi Arabian in its origination. And because Saudis had money over the last 40 years, 50 years, they have risen the level of Wahhabism throughout the world because they give money to these mosques, they build them, and to keep the money coming, you got to do it our way. And that's why it spread that way. Yes? I'm sorry?
I don't know, this might be sort of like a history of sexuality or bisexuality, but we lived in the Middle East, we lived in Turkey for a number of years. And there was always sort of talk about Turkish homosexuality at times, and Greece too.